everybody. Happy Friday night. Welcome to my Zen Den. I am so very happy that you could join me tonight. My name is Mandy VanHavermaet, and I am an independent demonstrator, wow, with Stampin Up from Gray Eagle, Minnesota. And I am so happy that you are tuning in. If you are watching me live on Facebook, I am so happy that you decided to take the time to join me. If you are watching the replay on YouTube, thank you so very much. I appreciate it more than you know. So tonight I am going to show you how to make a shaker card. I really like shaker cards. I think they're so fun. I don't tend to make them a lot, but I really enjoy them, and I think they're the cutest things ever. So I'm going to show you two techniques, and I'm going to kind of talk about shaker cards and things like that. So not really two techniques, but two shapes. I find that squares and anything with a straight angle is a little bit easier when you're starting out. I'm also going to show you how to do a circle one. So hello, Joanne. Hello, Joyce. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to flip the camera around and we are going to get stamping. So hold on just 1 second. All right. So we are going to be using stamp sets tonight from the July to December mini catalog. Hello, Kathy. The July to December mini catalog, I'm going to be using the Kindest Gnomes stamp set and also Sunkissed, which is more of a beach themed stamp set. So we're going to start with the Kindest Gnomes. I'm going to pull in my supplies here. And so this is the supplies that you're going to need. I've got a piece of soft suede, and this is 11 by 4 1/4, scored down the middle at 5 1/2. And then I've got, let's see here, I've got a piece of the Designer Series paper, and this is from the Gnomes Suite, and I really like this background. That's kind of what inspired me to start thinking about doing a shaker card, because I like this background. It looks like a little forest with mountains, right? And then I've got a piece of Night of Navy. Both of those are 4 by 5 1/2. And then here's a piece of basic white for the inside. I've also got a piece of acetate, and this is a little bit smaller. It's got a glitter on it. It's a little bit smaller, so it's 4 by 5. So it's a little bit smaller than the Designer Series paper. I think it might actually be 3 7/8. But it just has to cover your opening, and you'll know what I'm talking about in just a second. And then I've got a couple of little gnomes. I've actually colored this gnome, and I thought he was cute. And then this is actually one that I cut out of the Designer Series paper also, because remember, those gnomes that are on that Designer Series paper work really well with the thinlits. So there's that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got a deckled rectangle, and it's one of the, it's not the biggest one, but it's going to sit right on here. So what I'm going to do is run that through my cut and emboss machine. So I'm going to pull out, and I'm going to show you how to make your sandwich. Follow the instructions on our plate, right? So I'm going to use plates here it is for die cutting. Plate number 1, which is this one. Plate number 2, which is this one, it's the shim. And then 2 plate number 3s, so 2 of the clear ones. So I'm going to put that on there just like this, and I'm going to center it as best I can. You can hold it on there with a piece of Post-it note if you feel like it's going to move. I really don't think it's going to move, so I'm just going to run it through my cut and emboss machine, and I will be right back. Sorry if that wiggles, my cord is in the way. There we go. Okay, I'm good now. Okay. So when you get done, you're going to have a deckled rectangle that you can use for another project. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to use it on another project, right? So here's how we go about it. And this card builds up really quick, okay? So I'm going to fold that just because I guess that's what I'm going to fold it. Get it out of the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my adhesive, which I have, seriously, every time I go live, right? Every time I cleaned my desk off just a little bit, and my adhesive is located in the area that we call here. Oh my word. For real. I've got a ton of these little devils laying around, and I can't find a single one. Oh, for Pete's sake. Do, 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 do. You know it's going to jump out and bite me in just a minute. Okay. Seriously. We're going to go old school. I've got an old tape runner. Does anybody remember Fast Fuse? That's what I'm using because that's what I could find. Okay. And that runner, you know it's going to turn up as soon as I turn this camera off. My goodness. Okay, so we're going to put adhesive on here, onto our back piece, okay? And then we're going to find the acetate sheet, and we're going to stick this down right onto there, okay? And this is why it's a little bit smaller, so that I can make sure it doesn't go over, okay? So, and isn't it amazing? I didn't lose a clear sheet. It's amazing to me. Okay, so the next thing you are always, every time, going to need when you are building a shaker card are adhesive strip, foam adhesive strips, and they come in a package like this. There's 40 strips in here. They work very similar to dimensionals. The only difference is the shape of them. They're a lot longer, and they are also a little thicker than a regular dimensional. So you'll need those. I've got one pack open here. So what we do is we actually put those foam adhesive strips right onto the acetate. And this is why I like doing square best, especially when you're just learning, because you have way more control, right? So you're going to stick them very near to the opening also. So, but not so close that they are seen. It's kind of a balance, right? So my snips, just like that. And then you could measure to do this also and like get the exact measurements. Of course, I did not do that. That's not generally how I roll with much of anything. But, so I'm going to take a second strip, and we don't want to leave any gaps. So I'm putting those right up, like we're sealing off, okay? Our openings, our seams, we don't want them to be open. And you can just turn it also if that is something that you want to do. We're going to give that a try. And then I will trim this piece off. Okay, so now there's that opening right there. Let's see, we don't want that opening. There we go. Okay, so I just picked up my foam sheet. I've kept my little ones. I'll use those actually on my next project, and you'll see what I do with that. Okay, so now I know that in your head you're going to want to dump the adhesive or the sequins in here, but don't, okay? What you want to do is actually dump your sequins on top of where you're going to place that. So this is how it's going to sit, right? So we're going to place our sequins on this paper, okay? And I've got the Sparkle and Shine sequins. They are from the annual catalog. You can use a lot of different things. A girlfriend of mine, I was so impressed with her. She used sea salt, like coarse ground sea salt. I thought that was the coolest thing. And she put a few sequins in it also, just to kind of make it stretch. She thought she was going to run out of sequins. So she used sea salt, and I thought, well, that's genius. So then I started thinking of other things I could use, and in my next card, I actually went out to my driveway and got sand out of the driveway. So that's what I will be using on my next card. So you don't need a lot. This is a big surface, but really you don't need a lot of sequins or whatever you're putting in there, because it gets too full. It really does get too full. So we're going to peel off our backing off of our adhesive strips. And now we're just going to set this on here, and I need to stand up so I can get it just like that. So now, isn't that fun? It's so neat. So just make sure that it's sealed nice and tight around the edges, and now you have your shaker. So let's go ahead and mount this onto our card. And I'm just centering it just like that. And I like how the trees in the designer series paper are soft suede. So that's how I chose the color to go with. So now I'm going to just do a simple, let's see, do I want him there? I like that red. It's kind of catches. Or him. I'm going to use this guy. I just think he's cute. So let's put him on. Just like that. Oh, so darling. Okay, and now let's do a little bit of stamping. I have got, I've got the stamp. Here it is. And I've got my Night of Navy ink pad. I'm just going to, let's see. I'm going to stamp it down. Oh, my red rubber is off. It's got a really big spot, so I have to remember that. Don't look at my words. Okay, I'm going to move it up. Four sides to this piece of paper. Aren't we lucky? There we go. Okay, get a good one. All right, so close that up. And I'm just going to, let's see, snip this off straight. And I'm going to put it in there. Tuck it in under him a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of a flag. And the way that I do my flags is I eyeball the center, and then I go from the corner up to the top of that snip, and then the other corner and up to the top of that snip. So just a basic flag. You could use a punch if you wanted to, but if you don't have a punch available, that is a way to do it. So let's put him how about like that? Okay, so let's put that on there. I'm used to my seal. I'm not used to the way that this one rolls anymore. Okay, and I'm gonna find that. You know, as soon as I shut my camera off, it's gonna just pop right out of the woodwork. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so I'm putting that in just like that, and then we're gonna give that just a little bit of a curl to make it look like a banner-y kind of thing like that. Ah, so fun. I love it. So that's card number one. Oh, let's put an inside in quick so we can write our thank you note. Hey guys, you'll never guess what just like appeared in my eyes. Can you see it right there? It was sitting right there the whole time. We're not playing Where's Waldo tonight because this girl isn't going to find him. Okay, there's card number one. Let's bring out card number two. Oh, here. If you would like to take a screenshot of that so you have the dimensions, there you are. Okay, card number two. Flip the paper. This one is a little bit different. It is not a Christmas card. I just want to show you this stamp set though, because this is not a Christmas card that I'm making, but you can use this for Christmas, which I think is so much fun because not everybody lives where it's snowy at Christmas time. Sunny Seasons Greetings. Ah, isn't that the coolest thing ever? Love you to the beach and back. Happy birthday, sunshine. Wishing you a sun-kissed nose and sandy toes. And then these really awesome graphics. I think it's so cool. I love it. I love that they make some Christmassy beach stuff. So that's what we're going to use for our second card. So let's get cracking. I have got, bringing my pieces. I've got a piece of Tahitian Tide. This is my scratch paper. A piece of Tahitian Tide, 5.5 by 8.5, scored down the center at 4 1/4. I've got a 4x4 piece of acetate that I'm not going to lose. I've got a 3.5 by 3.5 piece of basic white that I'm going to stamp on. I've got a piece of Calypso Coral that is 4 by 5 1/4, and then I've got a piece of basic white for the inside and a scrap of basic white for my sentiment. So first we're going to do a little bit of blending. Let's get this just kind of set there for right now. I've got the colors Tahitian Tide, Calypso Coral, and Soft Suede. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to stick with Soft Suede. I think I intended to have crumb cake, but we're going to stick with Soft Suede. And so I'm going to bring in my blender brushes. We're going to just do a simple blending job here. Open up our ink pads. Isn't that a pretty color combination? I kind of like it. Okay, we're going to, I started with the sand because that's just how I wanted to do it. So let's build some sand for our beach scene. Just like that. Then I'm going to put just a little bit of blue in there. Maybe blue sky, maybe blue water, whatever. I just wanted a little bit of Tahitian Tide in there. You could totally make this any kind of sunset or sunrise scene that you wanted to. If you wanted to somehow make water in there, you totally could. I just didn't feel the need to. I thought this was pretty the way that I was doing it. So, and then majority of it is going to be Calypso Coral. I would totally like to spend a Christmas at the beach. That would be fun. However, I do like Christmas in Minnesota too. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So now that I've got just my, it's a very simple job of brushing on the color. I'm going to take this stamp right here and I'm just going to tap it lightly in my shaded or soft suede. Just give it a test run there. And I am going to basically right in the middle of my my square. So that is it for the stamping right now for that piece. While I've got my stamp pads open, I am just going to go ahead and do the rest of my stamping. I am going to make this a birthday card, so it's Happy Birthday Sunshine. I'm going to stamp that in Tahitian Tide, like so. And then for my inside, I'm going to put this little pelican guy just down in the corner because I thought he was cute and he deserved to be stamped. And then I've got Wishing You Sun-Kissed Nose and Sandy Toes for the inside. And I'm going to stamp that in Calypso Coral. Just like that. Okay, so my stamping is all done. That is crooked. We're going to do it again. I'm happier now. Okay, Mr. Pelican, come on back. We're going to do you again. There. Okay. Now we're done stamping. Let's close these bad boys up so we don't drop our projects on them. Okay, so now let's set that aside and set that aside. I am going to use the Stylish Shapes thinlits for this project, and I'm going to put a circle in the middle right about there, and then I'm going to use this banner to cut out my sentiment like that. Okay, so let's build our sandwich. Here again, just a regular cutting sandwich, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so that I can fit it on. You know how I like to roll, as few passes as we can. So I'm going to put that on like that. Almost lost it. And I'm going to set that on just like that, okay? And we're going to cover it with our other plate. And then I'll run that through the cut and emboss machine, and I will be right back. Okay, so those came off so nice. So I've got a Calypso Coral circle to use later on, and then the scrap of that. This is the piece that I'm going to be using. Now, it's pretty like that, but I wanted to do just a little bit of extra. So I am going to use the gingham embossing folder, and I'm going to emboss it. And something that Stampin' Up! Does, which I adore, is that they put this line, and I don't know if it's supposed to be there like this as a guide. I use it as a guide all the time because that line is straight. So I just align, especially on a design that's symmetrical, like the gingham. You know, it's got squares in there. There's lines in there. I want it to be right. So if we read our guides on here, it says if using a standard embossing folder, we're going to use plate number 1 and 2 of plate number 3s. So after I've cut my hole, I put it in my standard embossing folder, and I use plates 1 and 2 of the 3s, okay? But I'm taking plate number 2 out. There is a lot to remember with this cut and emboss machine, but once you get the gist of it, it is so nice to use. Okay, so now I have got a hole and gingham pattern on there. Isn't that pretty? Like it a lot. Okay, so let's build our shaker. So the first thing we're going to do, I turned it over. I've got my piece of acetate that I'm going to tape down or adhere down to my card base, okay? So let's do that. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, which has been sitting here the whole time. I tell ya, it's been a rough week. There was just, I don't know, it was a lot. There was a lot this week. Okay, so I'm adhering my acetate down directly to my front panel. Okay, now I'm going to take my adhesive strips. I'm going to take one off. And here again, I want it really close to, but not showing through the circle, okay? So we're just going to bend it and keep it happy. Happy, happy, happy. All right. So now I'm just a little bit short. So remember I said I'm going to use those on my other ones? I'm going to put it right up to it. Oh, look, it was like meant to be. It's exactly what I needed. Isn't that fancy? Okay, so now I've got my circle, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere it directly onto here. Isn't that just the most darling thing? Okay, however, we need to put something in here. And this is what I told you. I went outside and I literally got dirt, gravel, sand, whatever you want to call it. I make sure it's small pieces. You don't need a lot, okay? Here again, it's just like the sequins. You don't need a ton. And I already made one of these cards and I put too much in and I had to open it up. So really and truly, not much sand, okay? But how cool would it be to have gone on vacation. Now, if I would have been thinking, when I was in South Carolina on vacation, I could have brought some sand home and made my Christmas cards with it. Did I do that? Nope, I sure didn't. But I could have. That would have been fun. Okay, so we are going to put that center right on like that. And then press it down. And so it doesn't matter if it's a little crooked back there. I've got one big piece. Make sure you get like smaller pieces. Okay. How cool is that? Like it's real sand. I love it. Okay, so now we need to adhere this, but see, this is like floppy. We're going to make sure we use, I have some that I used for a smaller project that I had cut off. So I've got adhesive strips in my stash that are already trimmed that I don't need to cut a whole big one. Okay. Sometimes the adhesive strips are nice because they're a little, like I said, they're a little thicker. So if you need a little bit more substance between whatever it is you're making, more than a dimensional, go ahead and use a strip. They're nice. They are handy. So, and make sure you use your edges, which will fly right off at you. Okay, there's one. And two. Okay, so I'm going to fold. I've got sand. I'm going to fold and burnish this. My Tahitian Tide. And then we're going to peel our backing off of our adhesive strips. And I am going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my white, just to okay. So now we will center that right on here, just like that. It's so pretty. I love it. I just love it. And I've got a little adhesive. It's okay. Okay, so now that I've got my Happy Birthday Sunshine, I'm going to bring in just a little bit of ribbon, which is right here. This is the metallic woven ribbon in Tahitian Tide. I'm going to put just a little adhesive right there. I'm going to, I kind of like this ribbon, and I'm going to show you why. It's goofy. It's weird. I like it. It doesn't, you can kind of break the fibers apart a little bit and stretch it out, and it changes the look of it, which I think is a lot of fun. So I'm just pulling it apart, and it makes it look a little bit more, I don't know, it doesn't make it look so solid and just, what's the word I'm looking for? What does it look like? It looks broken apart. It looks a little bit more, I don't want to say rustic because it's sparkly, but it just changes the look of it. Makes it more full, makes it more decorative. Adds just the right touch. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive onto the back of this also, and then just center that on my card. And I can always go back in and give that a little bit of a haircut. They're not even. Just like that. It's kind of fun, huh? I like that. Okay, so let's put our center in. Isn't that just the coolest thing? I love it. So there's our inside. So cute. So here's the dimensions for that, if you would like to take a screenshot of it. Okay, and in closing, so the things that you're going to need, you can use anything to make a shaker card, but the two things you are going to need are window sheets, and those are sold on page 140 of the annual catalog. It's item number 142314. You're going to need window sheets. They come in a pack of two 12 by 12 sheets, so there's a lot of cards in there. I mean, they're pretty inexpensive. I want to say $5, $8, something like that. And then you're also going to need the foam adhesive strips on page 127. You could try to get by using maybe the edges of the outside edges of a dimensionals, but it's not going to work as well. They're not as thick as a foam strip. They don't work quite as well. You really want to use the foam adhesive strips. And that's just another adhesive to have in your arsenal for other products, and inexpensive again, probably $5 or something like that. Page number 127 of the annual catalog, item number 152825. So those are the two things that you need to create shaker cards. No, you would be surprised, Joanne, of the things that come through the postal service that they mail. Just gonna put that out there. Dirt. I mail dirt on a regular basis to people. They farmers send it in to have it tested for minerals and things like that. So yes, you can send sand through the mail. It's, wouldn't you know? These do maybe require a little, I would put, if you're going to mail it, I would put a protective sheet maybe over the top of that so it doesn't get punctured. But very mailable, I promise. So I just love that card. Anyhow, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much. Yes, soil samples, Joanne. Who knew we'd talk post office here? Anyhow, thank you so very much for joining me. I so very much appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you again next Friday night. Thank you. Bye-bye.